I am extremely tired. I've been doing a lot of work, and on top of that, I've been dabbling heavily into VR sculpting and CAD design. And if you didn't know, recently I released my Batman bookend 3D print design. It's my first VR sculpt that I'm releasing, and it's on my Patreon. If you join the Patreon, if you're a member, you can have access to all of the files listed on there. You can print them, and you are authorized to sell them as long as you're a current member, so go check that out. It also helps me to know that there are other people out there that are interested in designing their own 3D printables. And I highly recommend that you all jump in on this because VR is going mainstream. We're in the very early, kind of late, early adopter. We're the early mainstream adoption phase, okay? So everything is a curve like this, right? So when you have a product launch, you have the early adopters, you have like the kind of the testers, and then you have the early adopters, right? And up to this point, everybody who's got into VR is an early adopter by definition. And then you have mainstream, right? The peak. It's mainstream. Sometimes that's like a period of a decade, 2 decades, whatever. And then it starts to mature over time. The late adopters come in, right? That's when you probably have to have a VR headset to access your bank account and other bullshit like that. But hopefully it doesn't get to that point. Anyway, it's a really good time to get into VR. I have one linked in the description below. I use the MetaQuest 2 and the, actually for my sculpting, I prefer my original Oculus Rift CV1. That's right, the original Oculus Rift is still going strong, and I still have the controllers. I've dropped these things a lot. They got smashed into a chair once, but they still held up. They're very, very solid, and they have a really good feel to them, especially for sculpting. But the newer ones are better. They have way better displays, much clearer. I couldn't use my Oculus Rift for like DCS, like flight simming, but the new ones, man, you get a really clear screen, and it's a game changer. The future of video games and live streaming is going to be VR. They just got to figure out how to stabilize it and make it into a more watchable format. So definitely get onto it. Again, I have it linked in the description. Speaking of which, before I move on to the main topic, I have been working on my own design. This goes with VR controllers, okay? And you'll notice it kind of looks like something, which leads, so keep an eye out for that. I'm very proud of it. It does work, and I want to try and make some sort of marketing. Remember, this is not a 3D printing channel. This is not an electronics channel. We've changed to Kimchi Studios, okay? We are aspiring, starving artists. We do all kinds of stuff. I've made money in the last year doing food art, okay? I've never done food art in my life. Somebody tapped me and they said, hey, can you go do these gigs? I said, sure. I did pumpkin, and I got better every time, and I was shocked. Like, I can't even draw, but I could sculpt. And I had a great time too. I got to go to the beer fest, Oktoberfest. That was a lot of fun. Oktoberfest, wow, man, that was so awesome. And I also went to some other Halloween gigs, did pumpkin carving there. I posted on my community tab or Instagram. Check it out. People don't believe me when I tell them this stuff, and I'll tell you what. It's some damn good money, okay? If you know what you're doing and you could show people, when you send out the proposal, I'm telling you, they're going to pay you, okay? They're going to want you instead of some dodo out there, okay? And if you're not up to speed, stay tuned to this channel, subscribe, like the stuff that I put out, and I'll continue to pump out more content. It's actually easier for me to make like a live stream like I did the other night, which I'm going to talk about in a minute. It's easier for me to pump out that kind of content, and then you guys can just jump in if it's live, or you can catch it later. I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. As long as you're getting value out of it, that's what matters to me. But I do encourage you to leave a comment. Nobody ever leaves comments on this channel. If I get a comment, it's like somebody telling me how to do something. First of all, shut up. This is the studio, okay? This is my studio, all right? Second of all, most of those comments are, you know, just, they have no substance. There's nothing interesting about them. So if you ask me a serious comment of how to do something, I might make a video on it. So what I'm doing is I'm doing CAD design. I taught myself how to do CAD design, and I have a pretty good foundation of the fundamentals, and CAD is not dead. You could see people who do Blender, but that's not going to replace CAD for a myriad of reasons. One of them being CAD shows your proof of work. Okay, so when you were in grade school and you had to show your art teacher, she said, show your work, okay, or you don't get full credit. So if you have a patent, right, or you want to own the rights to something, if you have a CAD document and you have the timestamps to go along with that file, that document, or you have it documented online, you can show the process. You can show the different steps that you took, and then you can claim ownership a lot more easier, probably. I'm not giving legal advice. I'm just saying, probably. In my mind, I would imagine so. That might be the case. But don't take my word for it, okay? Anyway, the other thing about CAD is the other point about using CAD is, so you have like the newer generation, especially Zoomers. If you're a Zoomer, welcome to the channel. I'm a millennial, okay? So Zoomers want to have everything customizable, and I saw this when I played Call of Duty, like Black Ops back in the day. So I was playing that game, and it was like Black Ops 2, right? What a phenomenal game. However, I noticed something. It was different, okay? It had all these stickers that you could add to it, and people were putting all kinds of like, you know, dick pics on there, and they were making their own designs, and it was all like crazy and customizable. And now every game has customizable this and that, and charm, like you put Lucky Charms on your guns and stuff, and you have all these paint schemes, and that's a way, you know, they can make more money at the companies if you trick people into buying that crap. The point is, the newer generations prefer to have more control, right? You want to have more control over your designs. And something like CAD is a little super logical, right? I have good news. I am not a logically brained person. I am more artistically brained, okay? I didn't know this until later on in my life. Although I kind of always had that creative spark in me, I am able to do it. You just have to sit down and turn off your phone. You have to turn off your phone, turn off the music, sit down, and like look at it. And then all you have to do is like make one shape and then alter the shape. Figure out the tools, click on each tool, look it up. There's a wiki, okay? There's a wiki for FreeCAD, and I use FreeCAD. I recommend it. You can use whatever you want. I don't care. But something like Blender, although it looks sexy and it does the job, there are certain things that you're going to miss out on depending on what you're doing, and that's the answer for everything, right? It depends, right? It depends on what you're doing. Are you working with other people on a team? Do they need to have, you know, that history, that documented history of all the changes that you're making to these shapes, et cetera, right? So it depends on you. If you just need something and you just want to make, you know, a shape or two or a sculpture, and you could do it in Blender, have at it. However, if you are familiar with my older videos, which you probably aren't, I went to a 3D printing festival, okay? I went to a 3D printing fair that had actual vendors there, and one of the vendors was laughing. First of all, because I was one of the only normal people there that was above 5'3", and didn't have a backpack. Second of all, he told me a secret. He said, "Hey, all these guys here, they don't know, like they don't care about like making money with 3D printing. A lot of them are not entrepreneurial minded." I was, okay? And I could tell this guy was too. He said, "You know, most people here, they're just downloading other people's stuff for free and they're printing it just to have it or just to follow along." Now, I'm not going to go into the details of what kind of person this is, but I can give you a hint. A lot of them, they own a pair of Sonic the Hedgehog pajamas and they'll wear it into late adulthood. And I'll leave it at that. However, he did tell me there's a lot of money to be had in things that people care about. One of the things was like Warhammer. So I grew up playing Warhammer. Like when I was 12, that was my first time finding Warhammer at a Games Workshop, and I was like, whoa, what is this? And then I opened the rule book and I was like, oh, what is that? And then we would get armies and we'd paint them, and I liked doing that, but it was stressful. And then we tried to memorize the rules, and then we'd argue about the rules, and that was that. And then they went in the shoebox, right? For like 10 years. And now, I stick to like simple video games or something because I just don't have time for any of that stuff. So he said, there's a lot of money being made if you know how to sculpt for tabletop gaming, like D&D, Dice Tower, stuff like that, and also sculpture. And I'm not going to go too far into detail about what he told me, but he did tell me there's a lot of opportunity, but you have to work on your skills and you don't need Blender. He was laughing at the fact that people were using Blender for all this, which is primarily, I think, an animation software, but it's free and you can do a lot of stuff, so it's very popular and there's a lot of tutorials, right? So it's great. Blender's great. I use Blender from time to time. I used it on the Batman sculpture. Okay, I used Blender for the base. All right. Anyway, so the point is, if you're like a zoomer and you want to have more control, you don't like CAD, or maybe Blender's too much, or anyway, he said he used like other simple sculpting software, like just basic sculpting software, and he was able to make a healthy amount of money on the side while he was working for one of those companies. Yeah, he's really down to earth. One of the only people that was on the same page there. So the point is, you have an opportunity to really get your head around 3D design for your 3D printers. Personally, I want to make some sort of products. I've always wanted to make things, and the combination of the VR headset and VR going mainstream with these awesome programs we have. I use Adobe Medium. That's the older version of the new pay by the month thing they have at Adobe. Screw that. And ShapeLab. I really like ShapeLab. It's developed to a point that's very easy to use, and they keep updating it. And I highly recommend it. Go check it out on Steam or on their website, ShapeLab. If you want to have that control and you want to learn how to do sculpting in a way that makes sense to, especially to the younger crowd, definitely get a VR headset, and you need to just start sitting down and sculpting. Okay, nobody learned how to draw by wanting to learn how to draw. The only way you learn how to draw or do anything in this world is you sit your fat ass down and you focus. Okay, you need to turn everything off and just isolate yourself, but in a good way, right? Get your favorite like beverage. Okay, for me it's coffee or tea. I gotta, like, if I have coffee, I'm ready to go. Coffee or water sometimes. Sometimes I just chug water. I'm just rolling. I'm getting stuff done. But it is a steep learning curve, especially if you're combining it with 3D printing and you're new to all this stuff. 3D printing is, man, I was fighting with one of my printers yesterday, and every printer has issues. You know, they aren't quite as easy to use as microwaves yet. Someday in the future, maybe there'll be a better way to do it. Maybe it won't be, you know, FDM style printing where you're printing layer on top of layer. Maybe it's going to be something else. Lasers look pretty cool. Something like that, right? So anyway, definitely get into it. But I want to show you the process really quick. That was kind of me rambling, but I hope you enjoyed it. If any of this makes sense to you or resonates, definitely click the like button, subscribe, stick around for a while, and I'll pump out more videos. I'll show you more mini documentaries where I showcase interesting stories of product development and invention. I did the Slinky video. I did Garrett A. Morgan. Nobody knows who he is. They don't even talk about him during Black History Month. And I thought that was kind of a crime. So definitely go check it out. I'll have those linked. I'll have that playlist linked down below. And for now, enjoy a very brief, quick, it's like 1 minute and 30 seconds of how I go about creating a basic chameleon sculpture using ShapeLab with my old ass VR headset that's still good. Okay, this is retro. This is a collector's item now, all right? And it's mine. You can't take it away from me. It's because I can't afford a MetaQuest 3. Thanks for sticking around. Thanks for watching. I hope you learned something today. Make sure to like, subscribe. You can share it with somebody that you think is interested in this. Let me know. Let me know if there's certain things that you want to make or certain topics that you want covered in the future. Until then, stay grounded and never give up.